How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is John and I give you regular updates in the world of space and tech. In this video we're going to be talking about the Artemis II mission and how far they are with their testing before the launch.
Happening right now, NASA is still performing its wet dress rehearsal for Artemis II.
The rocket is fully fueled and the simulation was set to end around 9 o'clock tonight, but after some delays, the closeout crew is now in the White Room at the top of the tower sealing the Orion capsule hatch. A valve associated with Orion's hatch pressurization was accidentally vented.
Okay, that's actually a big deal. They just said Orion's hatch pressurization was accidentally vented. That means the pressure system around the crew capsule wasn't stable during the test. Even though no astronauts were inside, this is the exact system that protects the crew from the vacuum of space. What pressurization means is keeping the inside of the spacecraft at a safe, breathable pressure.
So the countdown has been on hold since 8:50 to allow more time for repressurization. This pre-launch test is done to make sure that all systems will be a go for the actual launch, which could come as soon as Super Bowl Sunday.
West Show's Gail Pascal Brown talked with a research chemist about today's launch simulation. Gail.
Yeah, this is a crucial rehearsal ahead of its upcoming moon launch. And Dr. Ken Kramer explains what it's all about and what happened today. It's a critical dress rehearsal.
It's absolutely crucial. They can't move ahead to the launch until they do this. It's like tanking your car.
Now this is the part people underestimate. This isn't just fuel in a tank. These propellants are stored at insanely low temperatures. Liquid hydrogen is so cold it can make metal shrink and seals behave differently. Even if everything looks fine when the rocket is empty, once it's filled the entire structure is under massive stress. And this is exactly why hydrogen leaks show up during these tests. The materials expand, contract and react to those temperatures. So this rehearsal is less about can't it launch and more about can it survive being fueled without something actually failing.
Monday, Kennedy Space Center engineers began a pre-launch test to fuel the Artemis II Space Launch System rocket. In this wet dress rehearsal, more than 700,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen were loaded into the rocket without the astronauts inside the spacecraft. How's it going?
Well, it's going much better now than it was earlier this afternoon. There were a couple of interruptions and pauses because of hydrogen leaks.
And there it is, hydrogen leaks. This is exactly the kind of issue that turns a planned launch date into a not happening. You can pretty much kiss the February 6th date goodbye at this point. This isn't like fixing a camera or resetting a computer. Hydrogen leaks mean the fuel system isn't behaving perfectly under cryogenic conditions. And NASA cannot send astronauts to the moon with even a small uncertainty in the propellant system.
The next step is the countdown, and then engineers will practice safely removing the fuel.
They can't go to the launch until they prove that they can fuel the rocket and it doesn't leak, because if there's a leak, it could explode. And we have to make sure that the astronauts are going to be safe. They call it a dress rehearsal because, like in Broadway, you have a dress rehearsal, but in this case, it's wet because we're loading it with the fuels.
The four astronauts, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen, have been quarantined since January 23rd.
So if these fuel problems push the launch back a few weeks, that means the astronauts stay in quarantine longer, more isolation, more schedule changes, and more waiting without even knowing the exact launch day. And mentally that's tough. You train for years for this moment. You're fully ready to go, and now you're just stuck in a holding pattern.
They still have to analyze all the data after they finish the test today, and that's going to take a couple of days. And then they'll set a launch date, which could be February 8th. But they have two other dates also, February 10th and February 11th in this particular launch window.
Once a launch date is set, it will be the first astronaut mission to the moon since 1972.
And that right there is the scale of what we're watching. The last time humans actually went towards the moon was 1972. That's over 50 years ago, way before the internet, before modern computers, and before most of today's technology even existed. This isn't just another launch. NASA is basically relearning how to send humans into deep space once again. New systems, new spacecraft, and new safety standards. And when you understand that, the next part makes a lot more sense, because when you're dealing with the first crewed mission towards the moon in over half a century, NASA isn't going to gamble. So now let's see what happens next, because after those fueling issues and test interruptions, the launch date doesn't stay the same.
Breaking overnight, the first manned flight to go around the moon in NASA's new spacecraft is delayed.
The agency now says Artemis II won't launch until next month at the earliest.
And there it is, March. So yeah, this isn't just a small problem. When they move a moon mission back by weeks, it means something needs proper fixing. And what we saw earlier is exactly the problem here, fuel leaks. NASA has to slow down and make sure everything is solid before anyone flies into space. So that's where things are right now. The mission isn't cancelled, it's being tested, stressed and checked the way human spaceflight should be. We saw pressure system issues, hydrogen leaks, and now the launch has moved to March. That's not drama, that's NASA making sure the rocket is ready before people sit on top of it. This is what the return to the moon actually looks like. It's slow, it's technical, and it's all about safety. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to follow how Artemis develops, stick around because this mission is just getting started.